In the depths of a British winter, a tiny life slipped away, hidden in the folds of a simple shopping bag. This is the story of baby Victoria, born into a world of fleeting warmth and desperate flight, and the parents who chose shadows over safety. What drove Constance Marten and Mark Gordon to vanish with their newborn, leaving a trail of questions that echoed through courtrooms. The truth they fought to bury has come to light. Constance Marten grew up in privilege, the daughter of a baronet with ties to old money and Dorset estates. But by her 20s, that life felt stifling. In 2016, she met Mark Gordon, a man with a criminal past, including convictions for armed robbery and gun possession. Their intense connection pulled her from her family's world into a shared defiance of a system they distrusted. They built a life on the margins, having 4 children in quick succession. Each birth drew scrutiny from social services. In 2017, as they prepared for their first child, concerns arose about their lack of stable housing and readiness. Authorities urged them to seek support or rely on Marten's family, but they resisted, viewing intervention as intrusion. Marten used an alias, Isabella O'Brien, and an Irish accent during her first delivery to evade scrutiny, hoping to secure aid without oversight. The pattern persisted. By 2021, pregnant with their 4th child, Marten skipped midwife appointments, opting for a private scan. A surprise home visit found her barring the door to social workers. That baby was born in a southeast London hospital, but the couple left without her, citing COVID restrictions. Marten returned the next day, only to be turned away for refusing a test. A social worker stressed that mothers care for their newborns, not abandon them. The child remained in hospital care. These weren't isolated incidents. Family courts intervened, placing all 4 children in foster care. Rulings were clear. Marten and Gordon posed a significant risk. Their volatile relationship included documented physical violence by Gordon toward Marten. The court saw a couple prioritizing evasion over stability, unwilling to cede control. They fought the decisions fiercely, but the children were safer apart from them. Yet, even as their family fractured, Marten was pregnant with their 5th child. Victoria was born in late 2022, hidden from the authorities who had taken her siblings. The couple saw her birth as a chance to raise her free from what they called oppressive oversight. They packed light. No pram, no formula, just a resolve to outrun their past. But their choices carried a heavy cost. By late 2022, Marten and Gordon were in Manchester, staying under the radar. They rented a silver Vauxhall, a car meant for blending in. On January 5, 2023, it burst into flames on the M61 motorway near Bolton. Witnesses saw thick smoke as firefighters arrived to a charred wreck, but the couple had vanished with their baby. They moved north first, scraping by. In Liverpool, a witness heard a baby's cries, sharp and distressed, cutting through the winter chill. Marten and Gordon claimed they kept Victoria warm in a ski jacket and sling, but CCTV footage showed her in a thin baby grow, exposed to the cold as they sought shelter. From Bolton, they drifted south buying essentials, a tent, sleeping bags, sparse clothing, from charity shops and discount stores, using cash to avoid traces. By January 8, 2023, CCTV captured them entering the South Downs near Brighton. Freezing winds swept the cliffs, temperatures plunging below zero. They pitched a flimsy tent in a secluded spot, relying on shared body heat and thin layers to keep Victoria warm. Days blurred into survival. Without a heat source or proper infant nutrition, isolation deepened. Gordon later said they felt hunted by social services and police. Marten spoke of shielding their daughter from a system that took her siblings. But as frost settled, Victoria's cries faded. On February 27, 2023, a dog walker found their collapsed tent on the edge of Stanmere Park, Brighton. Inside lay Victoria, still in a little shopping bag, wrapped in a white shawl, her tiny form cold and lifeless. Just weeks old, her life ended in the place her parents thought was safe. Police swarmed the site, faces grim. This was no longer a missing persons case, but a tragedy demanding answers. Officers collected damp sleeping bags, empty crisp packets, and a single soiled nappy. The shopping bag held the heartbreaking truth. Victoria, clad only in a baby grow, pale from exposure. Forensic teams battled the elements to preserve evidence. Pathologists found no clear trauma or poison, but signs of prolonged cold stress and faint dehydration emerged. Professor George Haveneth, an expert, recreated the tense conditions, factoring in 20-mile-per-hour winds and moisture seeping through fabric. Even in optimal setups, insulation failed. A damp sleeping bag lost warmth fast, leaving Victoria vulnerable to the cold. Detectives traced the couple's path through CCTV from northern England to the coast. A New Haven ferry worker recognized Marten from public appeals, recalling her disheveled, asking for cash with a baby hidden under her coat. Tips flooded in, but leads faded in the South Downs fields. The couple's evasion tactics, ditching phones, using cash, avoiding cameras, slowed the investigation. But on February 27, 2023, a patrol car stopped a cab near Brighton's train station. Inside were Marten and Gordon, exhausted and weathered. They surrendered quietly, their flight over. The arrest ignited a media storm. Aristocrat and convict, on the run with a lost child. Charges followed swiftly. Gross negligence manslaughter, concealing a birth, child cruelty, and perverting justice. The trial at the Old Bailey was turbulent. Marten and Gordon disrupted hearings, demanding new lawyers and staging hunger strikes. A 2023 mistrial delayed justice, but a retrial began in January 2024, spanning 4 grueling months. Witnesses recalled the Liverpool cries and CCTV's bare baby. Haveneth's models exposed the tent as a death trap. Prosecutors highlighted the neglect. No medical checks, no formula, a newborn in sub-zero nights. The defense claimed love amid hardship, blaming authorities for pushing them underground. On May 20th, 2024, the jury delivered guilty verdicts on
the baby had died by the 12th of January and not a later date. After her death, you concealed her and perverted the course of justice. A high-profile and labour-intensive national search and police investigation led eventually to the discovery of your daughter's decomposed body in a supermarket bag for life, filled with rubbish and left abandoned in a shed on an allotment. When you were arrested, neither of you was prepared to give any assistance to the police about the whereabouts of your daughter's body. Your silence at that stage of events is highly significant. If, as you have both sought to claim, this was a terrible accident, why not alert the authorities then, and why, once arrested, not say where the body was to be found? You claimed you wanted dignity for your baby's body, and yet your conduct displays the complete opposite. In the course of the trials, you have both sought to put the blame on everyone else, on the police for the hunt for the baby, and you on members of the public. You've claimed some have made up what they've said or did in their presence. For others, you suggest all they wanted was their moment in the limelight. What your attitude completely fails to acknowledge is that it was the safety and well-being of your baby and the two of you that was paramount concern to the police and to members of the public. Had the police not sought to find you or to make public appeals for assistance, and members of the public not responded by reporting sightings, then many would criticise them for not acting as they should have done. Sentence. On gross negligence manslaughter, in your case, Mark Gordon, there will be an extended sentence of imprisonment amounting to 18 years, with a custodial term of 14 years and an extension period of 4 years. In my judgment, Gordon, in your case, the dangerousness test is met. I've given consideration to the provisions of Section 285 of the Sentencing Act 2020 and whether the seriousness of the offence or one or more of the other offences associated with it is such as to justify the imposition of a sentence for imprisonment for life. However, I do not find it to be. There will be the extended sentence that I've passed upon you. Martin, in your case, as the dangerousness test is not met, there will be a determinate sentence, a sentence of 14 years imprisonment. In your case, I've given consideration as to whether the custodial sentence should be of the same length as that passed in respect of Mark Gordon or not. Having reflected on the issue, I am of view that the custodial terms should be of the same length. The issues around future risks have led me to the conclusion that Mark Gordon should be the subject of an extended sentence and there is therefore that distinction between the two of you. On count 1, concealing the birth, the sentence in each of your cases are ones of 18 months imprisonment. Count 2, child neglect, the sentence in each of your cases, again, ones of 18 months imprisonment. On count 5, perverting the course of public justice, the sentence in each of your cases are ones of 5 years imprisonment. The sentences on counts 1, 2 and 5 are to be concurrent to each other and concurrent to the sentences on count 4. Gordon, in your case, what that means is it's likely you will serve 2/3 of that custodial term that I've imposed. If released at the end of that custodial term, or at the 2/3 point, you will be on licence until the expiry of the extended period of licence in your case. Martin, in your case, you will serve 2/3 of the sentence I've imposed and then be released on licence. Released on licence, you are subject to the terms of that until the expiry of the custodial term. As the statutory surcharge clearly applies here, the appropriate orders can be drawn up. Before I leave this case, this was clearly a difficult and painstaking investigation for which many police officers were involved. I express my sincere thanks to all of those involved. Inevitably, some officers will have undertaken a significant amount of work to bring a case of this nature to court and to a conclusion, and I would particularly wish to commend Ian Valentine, Martha Bourne and Leanne Cowdery for their commitment and work on this case.
Victoria's story challenges views on parental rights and state intervention. Her 4 siblings thrive in foster care, a quiet victory. From Manchester's motorways to Brighton's downs, it's a call for vigilance for the vulnerable, seen and unseen. Martin and Gordon, now behind bars, face 14 years haunted by what-ifs, the warmth they denied, the cries they couldn't quiet. Baby Victoria deserved better. In her name, others may find it.